This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and NIL Game Changers.
TV.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
This half hour being brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, life, business, boat, motorcycle, RV. This is an example of the many insurance needs that we all have, and it's not just an insurance need, it's multiple insurance needs. You need somebody that can handle all of them, keep it organized, make sure you're fully insured, do everything they can to save you money, and go with people with customer service where it means everything to the company. Because we know customer service means everything to you, but it has to mean everything to the people you're dealing with. And that's Purdy Insurance. Market Street in Sunbury, go to purdyinsurance.com. With that, we bring in the best in the business, Neal Coolong. Sir, welcome.
As always, it is more than my pleasure to be here. I hope you guys are having a fantastic afternoon.
So far, so good. And I want to start with this. I was talking to my class on Monday morning, and sometimes it's a little difficult because Eric DaCosta, the GM of the Ravens, his daughter is in my class. Okay. But I said, look, that game on Sunday is an example of what I've tried to tell you all the time in this analytics world. There are multiple ways to win games. That was one of them. Is that a fair assessment of what we saw Sunday?
I'm not sure you could describe it any other way. I also would point out that this is a team that's won this way twice this season,
yes.
And it's something that's never happened. And I think maybe it happened a couple times before. I remember a game back in, 2015, I think Boswell hit 6 field goals to beat the Bengals, like 18-14 or something like that. Yeah. It was a remarkable display of what we have come to recognize as quintessential Steelers football, whatever way is not traditional. I put it this way. I said before the game, I picked the Ravens to pull away late in this one and take it by like 2 touchdowns. I said, you're a home underdog. You want to win that game, this is basically what needs to happen. You need to be +2 in turnovers and have no more than 1 yourself.
Yep.
You need to be able to hit the quarterback. You have to stop the run, and you probably have to make a splash on special teams in some way. To be fair, I meant a blocked kick. I meant a punt return, something like that. I did not mean your kicker going lights out, 6 for 6, 3 of which over 50 yards or whatever it was. They checked all of those boxes. And exactly to your point, the Steelers are finding ways to win these games in the aggregate. They don't look like the way everybody else wins. We shouldn't be surprised, though. It's been 4 years of this in Pittsburgh. They have a quarterback who tends to play, better than not. I don't think this was Russell Wilson's best game, but they're used to that. It's almost beneficial in a way for them to not get quality play from their quarterback, because for some reason opposing quarterbacks just stop performing well against them by and large. It doesn't feel like it's forced defensively. Receivers drop passes in key situations. We saw that again with Baltimore. It had to be an infuriating game to watch back for Baltimore, and it wasn't a great one for Pittsburgh either, but they found a way to make the plays at the end the way that they do, because as Mike Tomlin would say, they don't blink. They're used to this. This is their style of football, and they trap somebody else at the bottom of the ocean floor and won a game that on paper they shouldn't have.
Well, and again, they made the plays when they had to, and they did it in such a way where Lamar Jackson did not seem to have the freedom to make plays that he has against other teams. Is that how you view how he has played against the Steelers, that the Steelers take away his freedom to make plays?
They really don't want him to run. outside of planned situations, and they didn't plan him to run a whole lot. The first play, I think of at least the 2-point conversion. Something went wrong with that. There were two tight ends that both sat down behind the flow of the play. I think only one of them was supposed to do that, and the other one was supposed to drag with him. That wasn't there for whatever reason. But when you have I don't know if you watched that play back or not, but what you saw on that really was excellent communication between Nick Herbig on the line, Joey Porter on the edge after the motion, and Dante Jackson, who had the inside receiver. Yep. There are three guys there, and it's almost as if all three of them said, whoever is coming out here is not going to matter at all. This play is going to come from behind us, but we have to own the edge. We have to set that right now. And if they want to block Nick Herbig with a tight end who's facing in line at the snap, okay, Herbig's going to blow that up. It flattened Jackson out, so he didn't have that initial burst to the edge. Porter cut off the rest of it, and for whatever reason, there wasn't a receiver there for him to throw to. He had nowhere to go. The Steelers were on top of that immediately. And it's funny to me because for a team that still struggles to pick up third and short through a show of brute force, the way you think that they would be able to, in this game, they shut down the most dynamic player in the NFL, largely just by winning their angle, winning their one-on-one, their assignment. And for the Steelers, I think the value of that is they can cut Lamar Jackson off. They have that confidence to I don't want to say make him one-dimensional, but they really didn't let him dictate terms a whole lot in the game. He was getting going there for a little bit. They'd shut him down. Peyton Wilson made the play of his career. I still don't know how he came down with that ball. It's absolutely incredible interception that swung momentum back into Pittsburgh's favor. It's just they are able to make a play on Lamar or do something schematically against him that doesn't allow him to get going. It doesn't allow him to become the MVP of the league like he has been and like he might be again. I call that snake bit, call that kryptonite, whatever cliche you want to use. The Steelers know how to basically make him play left-handed, and he doesn't seem to like it. I was joking with people before the game. What we should have done prior to this was go back and count how many sideline helmet throws Lamar Jackson has had against Pittsburgh, because it's got to be 5 or 6 of them. And if the Steelers can get that type of reaction out of him again, they can win. It almost seems now like he's more resigned to his fate. He can't play the game the way he wants to against the Steelers team, and there are a variety of reasons for that. Overall talent, though, really isn't one of them. I got to tell you, they have a legendary offense. Those guys are really, really good, and Pittsburgh just finds ways to keep them in the garage for 4 quarters.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I also think because they do, I think it affects to some point the decision-making of John Harbaugh and Jeff Monken as to what they do with that offense. I think they make a couple of decisions because for one of the few times on offense they get a little bit of desperate, right? And they're trying to figure out what to do, and I think it affects them. And of all the days, Justin Tucker, who's had an up-and-down season for the first time in his life, the Hall of Fame kicker, if he makes 2, we're talking about a different story here.
Yeah, there's a similar story coming out of 6 of the last 7 games that these teams have played. It's remarkable. Baltimore just falls short in one or multiple areas against the Steelers, and they lose games that you look back on and you probably think they should have won. I hate getting into the woulda, coulda, shoulda stuff, but yeah, Tucker doesn't miss those field goals. Not that they're gimmies in Pittsburgh, but I did find it interesting. I think maybe it's a kicker who's not speaking to the media a whole lot. He probably, spoke a little bit too much talking about the conditions of the field, or at the very least, he's answering the question that he was asked. But to say that when your arch rival, if you want to call him that, in other words, typically between those two, they're strong candidates for first and second team All-Pro each of the last 4 or 5 seasons. When Boswell is the MVP of the game, he hit 6 of them. You're going to complain about the conditions when you miss 2. That seems out of place. It seems out of character. And that, to me, I think it's a good metaphor for the game. conditions or otherwise, he's played in worse there, and he's hit bigger kicks there. So I'm not sure what's going on with Tucker, but what I know is that when you lose it as a kicker, you lose it. You don't get it back. To bring up a familiar name for Steelers fans, Mike Vanderjagt was at that point in 2005 playoffs the most accurate kicker in NFL history. He missed that kick against the Steelers, and he never recovered, never came back. He was terrible for Dallas in a couple games, and he was done. He doesn't even speak to the media anymore. It's clear and obvious that kick affected him. I'm not suggesting that anything happened with Tucker, but it's an extremely sharp mental edge that you have to have as a kicker, that high-level muscle memory. It takes a lot to stay at the point that Tucker has. He absolutely is a Hall of Fame kicker. If there ever was a Hall of Fame kicker, it's him. To see him kind of combusting this season is a little strange. They got an interesting decision ahead of him. You can't keep that guy for $5 million next year. They're not going to do that. So not if he's making 15 or 20 on the season. That's just not going to happen. He can find a lot of guys for 4% of the price to do that. But Tucker, among everyone else, really with the Ravens, there are just things that they don't normally do that seem to come out against the Steelers. That's the way that it's been.
Since 2019, Carolina Panthers have the worst record in the NFL. They have won 29%. The Jacksonville Jaguars have won since 2019, 32%. Also at 32% are the New York Football Jets. Today they fired their general manager, Joe Douglas. Phil Savage, friend of the show, takes over as the interim GM. When you look at Joe Douglas's tenure with the Jets, give me a list of the decisions that made you sit back in your office and go, really?
It's a good question.
It's a list.
I think in terms of roster construction, I think they made good decisions. They brought in good players. I think, like any general manager, and with the general manager, the head coach, your fate largely depends on your ability to solve the quarterback question early in your tenure.
Yes.
Because you don't get long tenure without that position. So obviously you've got to look at the Zach Wilson decision as being the linchpin of the whole thing. That didn't work out very well. I would like to rip Joe Douglas for that, but what I said was Trey Lance is the guy they should have selected. I'm not sure that would have been a good pick either. I don't want to say that a multi-million-dollar position overseeing a multi-billion-dollar team within one of the most powerful sporting organizations on earth, it comes down to luck. But timing is a significant part of that. Your ability to draft second in a 2-quarterback draft speaks volumes to where you're going to go as a franchise. If you can't do that, however, if you can't move up, if you can't get that player, and that player turns out to not be what you need him to be, you've got to get a lot of other things going in your favor in order to win. And I think the Jets, you can't ignore how good Sauce Gardner has been. You can't ignore Garrett Wilson. They've put players on the field that can play. Eden Prairie, Minnesota's own Jeremiah Johnson's a great player. He got hurt early on this season. Hasn't had a great chance to contribute on a team that defensively, prior to firing Robert Saleh, they played pretty good ball. Yeah. Everything they did was hooked into Aaron Rodgers, and there's the big elephant in the room. You made up for one mistake by bringing in an enormous mistake, in my opinion. And I'm on the record. You know that. I said this at the time. You don't get better at playing football by not playing football. Aaron Rodgers was in decline. He got hurt. It's over at that point, in my opinion. You're getting probably better than what you normally would get out of a quarterback at that age who hasn't played. That's not going to continue. They're on the hook for a huge amount of money. Prior to all this, they went out and got Devontae Adams for some reason. I have no idea why they would have wanted to do that, except they're letting Aaron Rodgers call all the shots. So if you're Joe Douglas, you're probably happy to get out of there, get some time off, getting paid by the Jets. pick up a consultant gig somewhere for the playoffs, make a few more dollars, see what you can do with the rest of your career, while the Jets are going to once again completely blow themselves up and figure out where they're going to go moving forward. But again, it's going to come down to the same thing. You need to have that quarterback, and they currently don't have it. They might be in position to draft one, but it's the same question. How do you develop them? Who is it going to be? Are they the right fit with whoever you bring in as head coach or general manager? If it's not going to be Phil Savage moving forward, you have to have a marriage between those parts. All of those things need to come together in order for you to have success. And Kyle Shanahan's Brock Purdy is a great example in San Francisco. It doesn't work out with Trey Lance, but they get pretty solid quarterback in Purdy. Are you complaining about Trey Lance going third overall if he's putting up Purdy's numbers? No, not at all. They were able to make hay out of the quarterback position there because they have a coach with the right quarterback that they developed and they built up. The Jets just simply failed to do that and are still continuing to fail to do that. If Joe Douglas, I don't think that he was, but if he was personally responsible for allowing Aaron Rodgers to dictate terms over their franchise for the last 2 years, I'd say that's his number one failure. But I'm going to guess that was not his choice. And I think the owner himself has created this quagmire of issues among his own team, and it was a matter of time until Douglas was going to get fired. For whatever reason that came today, I couldn't tell you, but there's a laundry list of issues that they're just not fixed. They're not going to be able to fix with what they have. They have to blow everything up and try to figure out how to start over.
Yeah, because as you pointed out, it's not like they don't have talent. Gardner's really good.
Good players on that team.
Right, Mosley's really good. I mean, they got some CJ. I mean, he can play. Garrett Wilson's really good. I mean, Adams, I think, is past his prime. Rodgers is well past. All right, the running back isn't bad at all, and for some reason they can't see. And they spent a lot of money, by the way, on the offensive line in the offseason to protect him. And you're right, he's the elephant in the room. And would like to point out that you and I, for years, praised Aaron Rodgers, okay, because he was worthy of it. Well, now he's playing like a 40-year-old guy coming off an Achilles, and guess what? That doesn't work.
It absolutely doesn't work, and I not to point it out, but the basis of my issue with Rodgers as far as the trade to the Jets was rooted in the fact that pre-injury, his last year in Green Bay, he didn't look all that good.
No.
Plenty of telltale signs that, like, I'm not so sure about this anymore. It's kind of like, I don't want to make a comparison between the two, but you saw the amount of punishment that Cam Newton took in his career. Take that version of Cam Newton, which is really to say he's losing his mobility, his foot speed, his ability to get out of the pocket and make plays. Yep. Take that away from him. Who is he?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Guy. Rodgers is no faster than Russell Wilson is, who can barely move. He can't escape a rush, as we saw plenty of times this past weekend. When you don't have that anymore, you have to reinvent yourself purely as a passer, and that's not the easiest thing to do with how fast NFL defenses are today. You're not seeing the statuesque pocket passers have as much success. Rodgers does not know how to be that quarterback. He's a phenomenally talented thrower of the football, but his lower body is not the same as it used to be. I don't care what he says. I don't care what hut he spent 3 days in. He's not the same passer that he used to be at all. And he doesn't know how to play the game without that. And that's really what the problem is. You set up an offense for a player to do certain things, and Rodgers can't do them. And he thinks that he can, and they're paying him a ton of money to be able to do it, but it's taken him way too long to figure out. I'm not saying it's all on him. There have been other issues on that team, but they've gone after every issue that, in my opinion, is minor compared to the quarterback that can't really play. Mm-hmm. Getting rid of the general manager now is not even deck chairs on the Titanic. I don't know what else you want to do unless it's just plain and simple. We can't stand to see this guy anymore. It doesn't work anymore. We got to go because we're blowing this whole thing up. Rodgers may have to be a part of that as well. I don't know the whole teardown, but not too many general managers are going to want to be forced to have Aaron Rodgers at $50 million or whatever he's going to be paid next year.
In 3 seasons leading up to his last season in Green Bay, Rodgers threw 13 interceptions total. His last season in Green Bay. Again, 13 total in 3 seasons. His last season, he threw 12. Just to amplify your point. Neal, thanks so much. Once again, I throw the fastballs and you drive them in the home run derby out of the park.
I just got to swing. I appreciate the pitches. Thanks for having me, guys.
You're the best. See ya. Neal Coolong joining us in this half hour, brought to you by Purdy Insurance. Market Street in Sunbury. Go to PurdyInsurance.com. They'll take care of all your insurance needs and save you money because customer service is number one to them. As we continue on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The Beverage Supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now, from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Well, we're getting to that time of the year. Oh, man, I'll tell you, there's nothing to me like the 5 to 6 weeks to close out the year. Thanksgiving, for those who celebrate Hanukkah, Christmas, New Year's, and Brewers Outlet. Man, does that just scream holidays? Stock up. I don't care whether you're stocking up for a home tailgate you have going on or somebody has a watch party going on. Then next week's Penn State football after Thanksgiving with Maryland. Brewers Outlet, then Hanukkah and Christmas and New Year's. You need to start stocking up now. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and hot every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. The pickle bar, led by the barrels and the dills, my 2 personal favorites, indeed second to none. It's all at Brewers Outlet. Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. I don't see how I can get through the holidays without going there. I just don't see it. They have it all. Yeah. One-stop party shopping. Yeah, and like I said, it's okay to have fun. Let's have fun. Let's have some fun.
The Suits office has been open for a couple months. That's one-stop shopping these days, too.
Oh. Not even I would have said that.
You know what? I have been around you too long.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Look what we've created. Todd used to be such a nice guy. Now he's fun. So we're going to get Randy Johnson on the show. St. Paul Pioneer Press, that where Randy still is?
No, Minnesota. Times Tribune.
Oh, he's with the Times Tribune now.
Yes.
Okay. When he left here, he took the job at the St. Paul Pioneer Press. So, yeah. There you go. We'll have him on. I know we're also working on Mike Grimm.
Correct. Thomas Frank Carr is also on Thursday.
Oh, great. Good.
I reached out to Mr. Girardi. He's going to join us at 1:35 tomorrow to talk a little basketball.
Perfect. I believe he and I will be talking basketball tomorrow night.
That is why I had that idea.
And then we'll be talking basketball next Monday and Tuesday. And then we're going to talk basketball, on Sunday the 1st. And then it's the Big Ten season. How about that?
I still can't believe it's basketball season already.
Yeah, somebody was, a good friend of mine was complaining to me yesterday morning about the crossover of seasons. And I said, Bill, the seasons are just everybody. And the pros are above all. So long. I said, realistically, let's just talk realistically. No, except that I have to change the word. Idealistically. My apologies. Idealistically. An NBA season should be 60 games. I mean, idealistically. Right? An NHL season should be 60 games. A Major League Baseball season should probably be 132. The NFL? I don't know. Pick a number. 16's worked for a long time, so I can go with that.
I think wear and tear-wise, the old 14-game schedule would probably be the best, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Nope, you're not. I'm not far off from your thought of, because I almost said 14, as a matter of fact. But why can't they? So now we'll get to the realistic part. There's so much money in sports today, and so much money going to athletes in sports today. And we talked about Joel Embiid earlier. And Embiid's got that $163 million deal. Hey, really? I'm not singling him out because I only brought him up because of it was part of the conversation. I mean, Embiid, okay, sits there and gets an average salary of $64 million a year. It's a 3-year deal, $192.9 million. He gets $64 million a year. Okay? And he becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2029. So that's his extension that starts in 26. He's finishing up the current one, where this year he gets 55.2. Now, you're not going to be able to pay everybody on the roster if you have a 60-game schedule, because now at this point you are bagging 11 home games to do it. So you take a Sixers home game. It's more than just 11. You're bagging 11 home games. You're bagging 11 home games, which means you're also bagging 22 television games, which means you're bagging 22 radio games. There's no way local TV and local radio are going to bid the number going to bid to have less inventory. And there's no way you can pay all the salaries you have with less inventory. Same thing with the NHL. Sidney Crosby gets $8.7 million a year. Okay? That's a pittance compared to Embiid. And the NHL has a different structure in terms of popularity. But the NHL absolutely can't afford to lose 11 home games a year. TV-wise, they can't afford to lose 22 games a year. And they can't afford to lose 22 games a year radio-wise. They can't afford to lose the advertising for 11 fewer games in the arena. So realistically, they can't do it. Idealistically, it would be best for the sports, in my opinion. Less can be more. It's funny, they were saying that about this show. All right, well, that's a different story. More Todd, less Steve. They love you out there.
I feel like you were talking to my wife or something.
But that's, you see where I'm going here, Todd? Idealistically, I think it would be best for the sports because it would leave you wanting more. But realistically, they can't do it because now they've gone into this domino spiral of here are the salaries, we need the games, we need the revenue, we need the advertising, we need the TV inventory, we need the radio inventory, we need, on and on you go, and they can't do less. Even though it would be best for every sport if they did, in my opinion.
And, at least 3 of those sports have made themselves year-round. 4 if you count college football. I don't think hockey quite has the zeitgeist the other 4 do. No. When
the Stanley Cup is won, hockey does go into hibernation for a period of time. Even when they have their draft, it's not the impact draft that the NFL is. So it just kind of comes and goes. I think the last time something happened in the offseason that I found to be intriguing and was fun to watch was when the Seattle Kraken did the expansion draft. Right? I thought, well, this is intriguing. Brand new team, got to see the new uniforms, the players, things like that. Like, okay, I watched that. Right? They did it outdoors. I think Chris Fowler was the host of it. Did a good job. But that's the only thing in the offseason for the NHL that happens of note. I mean, the NBA gets more juice because of how their signings work. Draft is okay. But how their signings work around July 1, there's intrigue there, and every 4 years they have the Olympics. And the Olympics were interesting this year. Hockey, when they go to the Olympics, they have to stop their season to go do it. They want to, by the way. The players want to stop their season to go play in the Olympics. And the league said yes to it, which was a great move by the league because the players wanted it. And that's fine. And I think it's great for the sport. But it is in the middle of their season as opposed to the Summer Olympics, which are in the off-season, which means in the off-season you've got quality basketball being played by the best players in the world. So, yeah. In baseball, and by the way, how about Paul Skeens? National League Rookie of the Year. Phenomenal season. They average nearly 38,000 fans per game at home when he pitches. He is, this season, he was outstanding. He was everything you could have asked him to be, considering that he started his career 10 months after being drafted.
Did you see the thing about the Skeens baseball card?
I did not, no.
So
by the way, just one quick note, Luis Heel of the Yankees, their pitcher, won the American League Rookie of the Year. Please continue. Sorry.
That's all right. There's a special Paul Skeens card in the Topps packs this year, and the Pirates won it. So they offered, if you pull it, they offered to trade it for 2 season tickets behind home plate for 30 years, a softball game for 30 PNC Park coaching from Pirates alumni, a spring training experience like no other. My joke was, I think 30-year season tickets to the Pirates is punishment, not a reward. But
well, that was the great joke by Beano Cook. When remember that we had, unfortunately, the hostages that were in Iran for 444 days, and when they came back, when President Reagan took over, and President Carter worked very hard to get them back. But it turned out that they crossed into freedom the day that President Reagan was inaugurated. So when they got back, they were showered with gifts and so on and so forth. And Major League Baseball gave them lifetime passes. And Beano Cook said, haven't they suffered enough? Now, the Mets tried to revoke one of the lifetime passes a year ago. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yes.
I am almost scared to ask why.
Probably because the guy was using it.
Yeah, probably. I
Um,
was going to say it's probably a really good seat they want to sell.
yeah. Let's see here. It's got unlimited too. That's flying from American Airlines. Let me see here. Let me see. U.S. hostage. Lifetime pass. Lifetime pass revoked Mets. So this okay. Lifetime pass, plane ticket. The plane ticket guy keeps coming up. That was the one that just recently happened. Did you see that?
No.
Oh yeah, he bought one of those lifetime passes years ago because he thought it'd be great for business. Right? And finally they said, well, you've used this a billion times. But I thought the Mets did this. And this is for the 52 hostages. And the Mets, I guess, tried to revoke this guy's pass a year ago. Like, really? It was one of those where you just shook your head and said, what's wrong with you people? They have almost 50,000 seats there. You can't give this guy two? That was the agreement.
I have not been very successful either.
Yeah, because I remember the story. I was like, you had to be kidding me. Baseball's gift, a big hit with former Iran hostages in 2006. Okay? And, yeah. Now, there is a story about how well the Mets treated Barry Rosen. Release, Bowie Kuhn gave you a golden ticket, lifetime pass. Rosen, now 77, in an interview with the L.A. Times, spoke with host Lisa McCree about how baseball saved his life. And he went through the whole thing about how great baseball's been. He sent us this brass or gold card. I really didn't know what to do with it. And then my wife, Barbara, who was really sensitive about what was happening to our children, that is, they really didn't know who I was. So we started going to games together. Sometimes I'm wondering if it was him, though. It was really kind of one of those. Well, I think they backed off once everybody's like, "What are you doing?" Yeah. But another season of Mets baseball. Oh well. It was an interesting story. You ever see the movie Argo? It ended up winning an Academy Award, I believe.
Is that the one where Ben Affleck in Iran?
Yep.
Yeah, I did not see it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Where they went over, and it's a true story, because I remember when the 6 Americans were snuck out through the Canadian embassy. Because there was a game at Villanova, Penn State basketball was playing, and they played O Canada before the game. Right. It's actually kind of cool. And they acted like they were putting a movie together. And these 6 Americans were being held in the Canadian embassy. And they were able to work to get them out. And it was really quite the adventure. And Ben Affleck's great in it. Alan Arkin was in it. John Goodman. It was an excellent movie. So, yeah. All right. We'll wrap it up in a moment here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
When car repairs get difficult.
Well, I just don't know.
Me neither.
We get good. Sunbury Motors. More than quality new and used cars, Sunbury Motors specializes in complicated auto repair diagnosis. They can handle intricate repairs and even complete auto body with service open Monday through Friday, 7 till 4. And Sunbury Motors has made simple repairs easy. Maintaining your vehicle is necessary. Finding the time to do it is difficult. Welcome to Sunbury Motors Quick Lane. Just walk in or call ahead. Relax in their remodeled waiting room with Wi-Fi, beverages, and snacks. While Sunbury Motors factory-trained techs take care of your oil change, tire alignments, brakes, and inspections. Quick Lane, 6:30 to 6 Monday through Friday, Saturday 6:30 till 2. Sunbury Motors, Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. We take the out of auto repair.